Hello, advanced students. You will be completing a word meaning slideshow this week for an assessment grade based off of the independent reading selections that you make on Monday. So let's go through what you are going to actually be doing and what your slideshow will look like. This will be your first slide, and you will add your first and last name and class period. So, expectations for the assessment grade. You have selected an independent reading text, which you will now use to complete your own word meaning slideshow for an assessment grade. Your word meaning slideshow must be submitted via Schoology by 11:59 p.m. on Saturday, October 3rd. Your slideshow will be graded based upon a rubric. Please read the rubric carefully so that you can achieve the highest score possible. The rubric is linked to this slideshow, which will be added to your resource folder on Schoology, so you can look through and see what is considered limited, basic, satisfactory, and accomplished. That being said, accomplished will be a minimum of 8 words. Satisfactory will be a minimum of 6 words. Basic would be a minimum of 4 words, and limited would be 3 words or less. Now, to determine the meaning of a word using a print or digital resource, you have several different options. If you're working online, we encourage you to use dictionary.com to look up your definitions. And if for some reason that definition just isn't clicking and you're not understanding it, a secondary source would be to go to thesaurus.com, type in the same exact word, and look at the synonyms. If you're in class, you also have the option of using our hard copies of dictionaries and thesauri and using e-dictionaries upon request. So the first step will be for you to determine the syllabification of your vocabulary word. So we simply go and type in the word in dictionary.com, and it is going to give you the syllabification. So I use the word syllabify as the example. It's going to be the dots in between the word syllables. So it's breaking it up into syllable parts. It's using dots or dashes. Your second step will be to find the word origin, including Greek or Latin roots. Now, this may not be offered on dictionary.com, but as a quick way to figure it out, I type in my word in the Google search, and then next to it, I write the words word origin. And it's going to take me to the description of the origin of the word. So I read through this, and I see that syllabification is based on a Latin syllabifico, which is where we get syllable. So you may need to Google search to find your word origin. Step 3, parts of speech. Now remember, you can't simply go to the dictionary and look it up and then take the first one offered to you. You do need to identify the part of speech as it's used in the context sentence from the text. So as you're reading the sentence in your text, you need to figure out how the word is being used. And then when you go to dictionary.com, there may be different definitions based upon the correct part of speech. So you will have to assess how your word is being used before you can decide the part of speech and look at the definition that matches that part of speech. Then you're going to look for the pronunciation. So the pronunciation is generally next to the word in brackets, and again, they've broken it up into syllables, and they've stressed the syllable that you will stress when saying it. Syllabify is how this is pronounced. But if I needed an extra help, I'm going to press this little button over here at the little speaker, and it's actually going to say it for you. So, for example, I looked up the words sieg this week because it was one of your most common vocabulary questions for out of sorts. And I have been missaying it all week long, and nobody caught me. You know why? Because no one had checked out the actual pronunciation, which is segue. So make sure, guys, you actually press the little speaker button and hear how your word is pronounced so that you can actually use it correctly in your speech. Now, the next 2 steps, or 3 really, are pretty simple. You need to use the context clues to determine the meaning of the unfamiliar word. So, for step 5, I'm simply going to copy and paste the sentence in which my word was found. Copy and paste it. That is my context sentence. Based upon that context sentence, I'm figuring out how the word is being used, and I'm going to choose the definition that goes with it. So, to form or divide into syllables, that's the verb form. This is the noun form, but since determine is the verb, we're actually doing the action of syllabifying, so it's fine to use the verb form. And then, I'm so sorry, got ahead of myself there. Still got ahead of myself. The new understanding is pretty important also. So once you've looked up the context and you've looked up the definition, I want you to add what is your understanding of the word now as it pertains to that context clue. So my new understanding is that the context sentence is giving directions for me, and it wants me to break down unknown words into syllables. Now, let's give you an example from We Wear the Mask on StudySync. As you read your independent reading text, you will be developing your word meaning slideshow for an assessment grade. You have two choices as to how you will select vocabulary words for your slideshow. Example 1 or option 1, if I'm using the word guile as an example, for each text that you have the option of selecting, there is going to be a vocabulary tab for that selected text. You can look at the words that have been pre-selected for you, and if there are some that you do not know the meaning of, you can go ahead and automatically see they're part of speech, and then you can click and drag the definition that matches that word, and then create your own sample sentence using it to practice using the word correctly. A second option is if you are reading through the text, go straight to the Read tab, and you want to do self-selected vocab, then you can simply select the words that you don't know, and then use your resources, remember from slide 3, to look up the dictionary entry for the word you have selected. You will also make an annotation note where you would highlight the context sentence and add the definition to the note, as we have previously been practicing. So for example, guile. I did not understand this definition. Insidious cunning and gaining a goal, crafty or artful deception, duplicity, way too much. But if I go ahead and look that word up under thesaurus.com and look at the synonyms, I can find one that I do understand right here. Dishonesty. I know what that means for sure. So this is what a sample slide would look like. Syllabification. For guile, it's only one syllable. Other words will have more than one syllable, and I'd have to put the dots or dashes in between to break up the syllables. Word origin, I looked it up, and it's Old Norse or Old French. Part of speech, noun. Pronunciation, I just copied and pasted this from the dictionary.com, guile. Context clues. I copied and pasted this sentence where actually the sentence before it and the sentence that it was in, because I think the sentence before it has a context clue. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile. So guile is my word, but now that I have looked up the definition, insidious cunning and attaining a goal, crafty or artful deception, duplicity, and the synonym dishonesty, I think this is a clue right here, grins and lies. So I underlined the clue in the context. So my new understanding of the word guile, the mask the speaker is wearing is of grins and lies, and this is how humans show guile or dishonesty. They grin and it's a lie. That's their dishonesty. So now, you are going to have the opportunity to create your own slideshow where you are following the 7 steps. Whatever text that you have selected, that's fine. But we need, for the highest scoring possible, 8 different words with the 7 steps for each. Again, go back to the rubric if you want to make sure how to earn the most points possible. This slideshow will be added, and at the end of the assessment, I want you to review the checklist to be sure of completion of all steps before you submit your word meaning slideshow. It's assigned on Tuesday on Schoology for an assessment grade. Remember, only submitted slideshows will be graded. Please do not share your slideshow through Google Drive. All right, I will add this slideshow to your resource folder. And in addition, you can now go and open up your own version so that you can start working on your assessment. Good luck.